Welcome back, Duality 7Xers. Welcome back, fight fans. And look, I'm going to recap the UFC 319 card. What an amazing card, guys! What an amazing card, right? Everything from, look, we had a jaw-dropping performance from Khamzat Chimaev, and he remains undefeated, and he walked out the king of the middleweight division, crowned for the first time ever UFC champion. And then we also had, and look, the fans are going to be divided. It is what it is, right? But there's a lot of storylines that have kind of spun out of this match. And let's talk about those insane spinning elbows that stole the show, guys, right? So I've been talking about this with all my friends, and all we've been doing is just talking about UFC 319. It's absolutely crazy how amazing that card was, right? And I mean, look, when I was talking about those spinning back elbows, I mean, just think about it. Those were KOs. You had the co-main event, Lerone Murphy. He planted Aaron Pico, face first in just over 3 minutes, guys, and then immediately called for a title shot against Volkanovski. Like, that is some serious cojones, right? Then Carlos Prates matched it, right, landing a buzzer beater elbow on Jeff Neal in the first round. So these are two highlight reel finishes in a row, UFC history in the making, right? And then I also alluded to the fact, like, Michael Venom Page, he shut down Jared with a slick decision, proving his control over pace and distance. So for all the naysayers out there on Michael Page, well, the guy's here, and the guy wants to dance. So now the question comes down to is what's Dana White going to do, and how is this all going to play out? Right, so anyhow, from Chimaev's domination to the spinning elbow KOs, to MVP's tactical win, over Kenanya, smooth and controlled. I mean, guys, I can't stop talking about 319. I'm grimming from, with a smile from ear to ear. It was absolutely unbelievable. So I could continue to just chase my tail and go in circles talking about how great this is, but at some point now we got to actually break down the card. So I'm going to start off with Alibi Idris versus Joseph Morales. Now, this was the prelim opener, guys, and to be honest, I didn't really expect this to play out the way it did. I mean, both fighters came out of the gates stronger than ever, and round one was super competitive, right? Morales actually really surprised me because his grappling looked more sharp, it looked more crisp, he was really accurate, and at one point I think he even threatened the guillotine, which I don't think anyone really saw coming, right? And so I figured that the likes of Idris would have honestly had the edge in the grappling exchanges, considering that Morales didn't look that great back on The Ultimate Fighter, right? And a lot of people were complaining about him and complaining about, I don't know if he was just tired or what, or if his heart wasn't really into it, but this time Morales came out and he showed some real improvements, and I think that's really good, and that's a plus point not only for his future and career within the UFC, but I'm pretty sure that that put a smile on Dana White and a lot of the executives' faces within the organization. So Morales was aggressive, he stayed active, and he kept looking for those openings, and I think that's the most important point. The turning point actually came in round number 2, where Idris managed to reverse position, but Morales didn't panic for a second. He stayed calm, he stayed true to his game plan. He locked up a single triangle choke almost instantly, and then once that happened, he clinched it, and that was it. Tap, 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 game over, guys. So not only does Morales score a clean submission win, but he also he officially makes his way back into the UFC. And it's an amazing comeback story, and you've got to respect the way he did it and his finish. That was truly amazing. Congratulations, Morales. We look forward to seeing more of you guys now, because in the future, because you earned it. Talk about Edson Barbosa versus Dricus du Plessis. Now, here's how I saw it. I saw Barbosa clearly outstruck Plessis in rounds 1 and 3. All right. And look, this is where Dricus honestly had his best moments. He landed some solid shots, had Barbosa a little bit wobbled, And if you guys might have to watch that again, but when you look at the first and third rounds, Edson was landing the cleaner strikes. And he was mixing in his combinations, doing better work in the clinch, especially with those knees to the body. And those knees, I'm telling you guys, they wear you down. It really sucks the energy and the life out of you. And in a lot of cases, that could be the de facto and the reasons why someone actually ends up winning the fight. Now, on the other hand, Close, he stayed active with takedown attempts, had some light ground and pound when he could, but honestly, it wasn't enough to steal the fight. All right, and so both guys had their moments up against the cage. They were trading knees and short shots, but overall, I felt like Barbosa had the slight edge, did a little bit more to actually prove himself. Now, the biggest challenge, honestly, is I don't think the judges really saw it the way I'm explaining it. They gave it unanimously to Drakkar Klose. And look, I'm not saying it was a complete robbery or anything like that, or one of the worst ones that I've seen. It was a close fight. It honestly was a close fight. And if you guys can't remember, watch it again. You'll see what I'm saying, right? But I mean, look, there's Barbosa looked like he had it in the beginning. So I at some point things kind of shifted a little bit, and this is the way the judges called it, right? So I honestly thought that Edson had the stronger rounds in 1 and 3, and he clearly did. And again, when Barbosa was a little wobbled, right, I thought those would kind of go to like extra or add to some extra points for Edson, but that wasn't the case, and it is what it is. So share your thoughts on that, guys. I'd like to hear if you have a different perspective on it. We have Alexander Hernandez taking on Chase Hooper. Now, guys, this I think this is one of those fights that I honestly think Hernandez was okay. Look, let me put it this way: the fight kind of shocked me. Okay, at the end of the day, I was actually really surprised because Hernandez came out super fast. He came out sharp. He shut Hooper down, with the first round finish. And I honestly don't know. I don't know what was going on with Chase Hooper, but I thought this was one, to be honest, if you watch Hernandez fight, this is just one of those fights where, to be honest, I think he had one of his best fights. I think he was really in the zone. I think he was really focused, right? Now, he unfortunately for Hernandez, he didn't get a performance bonus. Not really sure about that. Once you got if you finish a guy in the first round and you put on that kind of like a statement on somebody, I'm not sure how he wasn't able to earn that 50K. Or anyway, so it's a tough break for him. It is what it is. But it was definitely highlight reel material, and I think. Again, I'm not going to say he was lucky. He came out, he looked like he was laser beam focused, and he had a mission, and it looked like he conquered. Now, as for Hooper, I don't know. I honestly, I think I had it different. I think I thought Hooper was going to win this, and I think I kind of bought into the hype, and I bought into what, there's a lot of articles and people talking about, how tough he is, and and look, I'm not saying he's not tough. Both of these fighters are absolutely incredibly monsters, right? But there can only be one. And at the end of the day, I don't know, Hernandez kind of came in real quick and real fast, and he took him out real fast. And it probably just didn't give Hooper enough time to be able to recoup. But his striking just honestly doesn't hold up against someone as athletic and explosive as Hernandez. From the start, I honestly thought Hernandez was finding the right hand over and over, moving well, stuffing those, takedown attempts that Hooper was honestly struggling with, right? So this fight could have gone another. It would have been impressive to see had there not been that quick of a finish by Hernandez. What round 2, potentially round 3 would have looked like, right? Would the hype of Hooper come out? I'm not sure. But then again, look, this is one of those sports where a guy like Hooper is going to have another opportunity to come back. I think he just had a really bad day, a really bad fight. And look, Hernandez was in complete control. He was landing the cleaner shots, and Hooper just honestly didn't have an answer, guys. And yeah, bottom line, Hernandez looked fantastic, and Hooper didn't, unfortunately. And the ref honestly saved him, I think, from taking even more damage. Hernandez honestly walks away with a big win. Surprisingly, again, he didn't get the performance bonus. But it is what it is, guys. I'd love to hear what you guys think. But I think Hooper will be back. The question is, who will he be back against, right? Now, you've got Lupita Godinez versus Jessica Andrade. Now, this is one of those ones where I honestly leaned towards Andrade wanting to get this done. I mean, I figured that she'd take over in the later rounds once the fight kind of got a little bit messy, but honestly, that's not what happened. I mean, Godinez came out sharp. She came out really fast out of the gates, and she held her own better than I think a lot of people expected. Now, round one, honestly, was all Godinez. She was crisper. She was cleaner. She had the cleaner shots. And, she didn't even really need to do any grappling, which was amazing, right? So round two, she mixed in a little bit of a takedown and kept the pressure steady. And it was really hard for Andrade to kind of have an answer to her. And then eventually, by the time round three came along, Andrade finally found some momentum, started landing some heavy shots. And I think, and that's a lot about what happens in your corner. Every time you go to your corner, you get that little bit of a, you get a talking to and everything. You got your team all around you, and then you honestly, you feel that momentum. You hear the screaming and the chanting. Everyone's yelling at you, and something happened, and Andrade kind of took it up a notch, right? And she really cracked Godinez with some big shots late in the rounds, right? But here's the thing. Lupita was able to weather the storm, and she, to the point where she was able to walk away with the decision. And honestly, it was a classic fight. This division is incredible. These are one of those fights that you don't get up and go and grab your snacks and come back. You watch this fight. This is one of those fights that's going to keep you entertained. This was mixed martial arts at its best. I loved it. It was great. From my view, it had a very solid pace from start to finish, and technically, Godinez honestly was looking better than ever. But the problem comes down to is, and a lot of people are going to be talking about whether she has the capabilities of having strong stamina once it gets into the later rounds. Now, she definitely showed improvements in her striking abilities, her composure ability to hang, with someone as dangerous as Andrade. And that's a big step forward for her. Look, Andrade came out, boom, with some heavy shots in the later rounds. She woke up. But again, I think the damage was already done in the get-go. And, Lupita was able to kind of, crawl through to the finish line. But now it's going to be interesting to see what she's going to have the next time around, right? This buys her another shot, another dance at another good event. Andrade will be back as well too, because she's got some serious hands, and she's got some serious firepower, a lot of weapons that she has at her arsenal. So I'd be curious to see what happens between these two fighters. I don't know if they're going to fight again in a rematch, but it'd be good to see them fight other opponents and then come back for another rematch. And I think that's what a lot of people want to see, right? So next up, we got Mikhail Odekicek, and we've got Harold Mershart, sorry. And honestly, from the beginning, it's what I expected, right? Mikhail, he just looked sharper in there from start to finish. I don't think Harold had any, was able to really do what he wanted to do. It was all Mikhail. He was patient, walking Harold down. He was landing the clean left, right, shots right down the middle. And he mixed in some amazing combos, guys. And you could see the damage, honestly, piling up on Mershart's face pretty quickly. And it was beautiful. It was a really, really nice fight. And those three crisp shots really shut the lights out. And this was, if I was betting on this, actually I don't know. I don't know who. Like, I mean, I knew, I had a good feeling, right, about Oleg Keshuk's chances in the ring, in octagon. I don't know. I don't know if I would have bet on this one, because I mean, honestly, it just takes one wrong move, and your opponent has got the best of you, right? So look, at the end of the day, he came out screaming. Mikhail got it done. It took really one round for him to do what he needed to do, and honestly, that's one of the best wins of his career. Harold's not an easy guy to put away by any stretch, right? So he'll definitely be back. But when you're look, his strike, I don't think he was able to match up with Mikhail's striking abilities. I mean, this guy's a monster. Like, his striking abilities are absolutely beautiful, and you can make it like, if a guy like him could finish that quickly, especially against the opponent that he had, that's a pretty scary statement. And it was a beautiful performance at the end of the day. Great fight, right? Then you got Susakev versus Eric Nolan. Look, guys, this is, I have a lot of respect for Eric Nolan. Okay, this guy took the fight on just a few days' notice, up a weight class, and he still made it a fight for everyone to talk about, right? I mean, in the first round, Susakev came out looking like he wanted to honestly put on a highlight reel, almost like he was kind of buying into his own hype a little too much, but that nearly cost him. And I'm telling you, Eric Nolan was landing the bigger shots, and some of them were wild, and some of them were pretty accurate and very clean. But either way, they were finding the target, guys. They were finding the target. And towards the end of the round, Eric Nolan cracked him hard, and he had him wobbling pretty bad, guys. And you guys seen it. If it wasn't for the bell, I think Susakev might have been in serious caca. He honestly got saved by the bell, guys. And then round two flipped. I mean, Susakev came out, started chirping away with leg kicks, and one of them really damaged Eric. And you could tell at that point, Eric's face, he just kind of changed. It just went a different color, right? And at first, I don't know if he was kind of playing rope-a-dope and he was just kind of trying to bait, Susakev in. But no, his leg was genuinely compromised. And credit to Nolan, though, he still threw back even while he was hurt. And eventually, the damage kept creeping up. Once that lactic acid also starts to build up, and then the pain in your in your body, I mean, it's really hard to kind of recover from that. And then Susakev he smelt the blood, and he just jumped on his opportunity, took the back, locked in the rear naked choke, and then, guys, honestly, the rest is history. He went for the finish, and that's that. It was a solid win, but it wasn't flawless, right? And I mean, nobody was asking for flawlessness in this case, but again, mad respect for Eric Nolan, taking this fight, day's notice. Honestly, he didn't have a lot of time, and he was still able to deliver that kind of a performance. You have to give credit where credit is due. So I hope Dana White and the rest of the executive team at the UFC sees that, and give him some ample time for the next one, and so that Eric Nolan can show you the kind of fighter that we all know he is, right? So he definitely proved he belongs in the octagon, 100%, guys, absolutely. So beautiful fight. Eric Nolan, my hat's off to you. Amazing fighter. And then, guys, we start hitting the main card. We got Kai Asakura versus Tim Elliott. And wow, the US versus Japan, man. Look, what stood out to me is how this fight reminded everyone that MMA doesn't always evolve in the clean, linear way that people typically assume. Elliott was, he once challenged Demetrius Johnson back in 2016. And look, this guy is still hanging around. Like it's absolutely unbelievable. Like, I mean, many guys, like 2016 is a long time ago. A lot of people have finished their careers, and look, Elliot is a beast, and he looked pretty good, and look, he had some heavy shots, right? Clearly, and then when you look at Asakura, he came in with a lot of hype, right? The difference in experience honestly really showed. In the first round, I actually thought Asakura looked pretty sharp. He landed some very heavy shots and clearly had Elliott feeling it at times. But then he started making mistakes, right? Especially with his grappling. And then by the second round, it all started to kind of unravel into one big mess. He kind of panicked a little bit as well too. I think that's what happened, right? And he ended up giving Elliott, an opening for a nasty mounted guillotine. And then just honestly, within seconds left in the round, Elliott locked it up tight and forced a tap, right? Now for Asakura, this was supposed to be the big breakthrough moment. Instead, he left the cage with more questions than answers. I think a lot of analysts, a lot of fans, a lot of people are like, hey, what exactly happened? This is not how we expected it. I mean, look, there's only going to be one winner, but I mean, you thought it'd be a little bit more closer than that. The challenge now, though, the big question comes down to Elliott's age, right? I mean, Tim is 39 years of age, right? And he's coming off nearly 2 years away from the sport, right? But he reminded everyone pretty quickly that, this guy's still very dangerous and definitely belongs in the octagon. So this is going to be really interesting for the executives. Like, what do you do with these two guys, right? Definitely, I'd like to see maybe a rematch. Like, is Elliott ready to take on some of the newer, younger talent? I mean, it really makes you think twice before declaring this new era of flyweights, right? But I mean, look, legacy still matters, and experience can't be underestimated, guys, especially in this fight. But it was a really, really good fight, and I enjoyed it. But now I want to see these guys maybe come back in a rematch. I think that would be great. Now, I talked about Michael Page, and I talked about Jared. Now, MVP, man, Michael Venom Page. Honestly, this one left me with some kind of mixed feelings. I actually predicted MVP to win this. And, winning it by decision, I don't know. But, I mean, that's exactly how it played out, guys. I mean, he won the first 2 rounds. He lost the third, but he still walked away with the clear victory. Now, here's the thing about MVP. Watching his fights is an experience. I mean, you can't look away, all right? At any second, he's going to throw some crazy, wild strikes, and he is going to flatline his opponent, and you could miss it. If you get up for a pee break or go to the microwave to grab that popcorn, you might have just missed the biggest moment of that fight. And look, all those goofy dance moves, like Jim Carrey in the cage. I mean, obviously it's very frustrating, but at the same time, it's entertaining. At the same time, you know what? I remember guys like Roy Jones Jr. He would always do that. He would actually, in the middle of his fight, stop and act as if he was like shaving, and then still be able to kind of throw a few jabs, to his opponent. A little bit of dancing and goofiness, but you know what? That's cockiness, man. That's confidence, at the end of the day, right? Now, some people like it, some people don't, but at the end of the day, if you don't like it, then put them down, right? So anyways, look, MVP honestly had banked the first 2 rounds and even dropped Jared with his awkward but effective combos, right? And the one thing about this guy, I mean, look, Page is one of those guys. He's very tricky. He knows how to play this game, and he's really hard to figure out. He's got that pure striking kind of capability as well too, and he keeps his hands very low, so he makes you kind of hesitant to close the distance. And if you do, you risk eating something very clean. And look, he knocked out Cannonier on the balance a couple times. Took him out. Jared lost his balance, and boom, he made work of him pretty quickly, right? And his style can somewhat, as awkward as it is, it could be honestly very frustrating for a lot of people. Very unorthodox to a point, but Jared came back with some nice shots, kind of closer to the end, but nothing really that hurt MVP. And at this point, honestly, for me, the fight was sealed. In a nutshell, you're either going to get completely humiliated by your unorthodox kind of striking and dance moves, or you are going to make it a highlight reel and everyone's going to be like, wow, man, this guy was able to do it, right? A little bit of Prince Nassim, a little bit of Roy Jones Jr. It worked for this guy, and at the end of the day, MVP got the victory, and the W is honestly all you want, right? So now for MVP to be calling out Carlos Prates, that tells me he probably wants to stick to strikers, and he wants to keep building this very unique career path that he's carving out for himself in the UFC. So it's a very, very smart move, if you ask me. I think this is the kind of fight that Dana should be excited for. These are the kind of fighters that you want to actually see, right? I want to see those striking abilities. I want to see these guys on their feet and see what actually happens. Probably won't last the distance, but I mean, with the performances that Prates had and MVP had, on UFC 319, I wouldn't be surprised if these guys are going to come and do the dance in a future UFC fight here very soon. So then, and speaking of Carlos, and like he took on Jeff Neal. Look, guys, I think honestly, Carlos Prates, like, yeah, he did what he was supposed to do. He came in and he was so explosive. Those, I'm telling you, those elbows, that spinning back elbow KO, and the way he was able to do it, so decisively. I honestly, it was to me, it was music. It was to watch this fight and to see that, and to see how amazing he was able to pull it off, especially being able to launch that Hail Mary, that buzzer beater elbow right in the first round. I mean, guys, this is what makes the UFC so incredible, right? And this is why I think people pay the big bucks to watch these fights live in person and to see it, because there's a lot that you see, I'm sure, in person that you miss on TV, clearly. But I was so happy to see this, and again, that buzzer beater spinning back elbow KO, like, congratulations. I want to see this guy. I want to see him take on MVP. I want to know your guys' thoughts. Is this the fight that's actually going to happen? And I really hope it does. Excellent striking abilities, right? And then we get to the co-main event, guys. We got Lerone Murphy versus Aaron Pico. And look, I mean, I had Murphy winning this one. I just didn't realize it was going to happen so quick, right? And look, this guy deserved it. All right, I don't care what people are saying out there. I try not to listen to all the noise. I mean, I'll hear, I'll listen, but I'm not going to pay attention. I'm not going to dwell on it. Right? People were hyping out Pico like nobody's business, and Pico's an amazing fighter. I really like him. He's great, guys. He'll come back. If you actually look at his career, there's been a pattern. All right, a few highlight reel wins, and then top level fighter comes along, and then gets KO'd, and that's honestly how it's been going, like, every single time. So look, let's break it down. Round one, it started hot. Pico came out swarming, did what he was supposed to do. That's exactly what would have put a smile on his team's face. He came out swarming, landing the heavy hooks, the brutal body shots, right? And this is Aaron Pico at its best. Now, for a moment, I personally thought Murphy was in trouble. I was like, oh my gosh, those body shots look killer, and they look nasty. But Murphy's experience started to pave the way, and he was able to remain composed. He started to kind of regroup, and as much as those body shots were nasty, Murphy didn't let Pico dictate the fight. Pico even tried a couple takedowns, and then Murphy popped right back up, guys, and he showed why he's such a well-rounded MMA fighter. And then it happened. Murphy caught Pico with the perfectly timed spinning elbow that put him out cold. Flatlined. Just a brutal highlight reel KO that honestly left everybody in shock. This is why I said this was one of those UFC in the making moments. It was absolutely stone cold beautiful, right? And this guy's been climbing up that ladder. Not a lot of people paying attention. He's climbing up that UFC ladder, and this performance proves that he definitely belongs at the top, right? My friend was saying that he's been watching this guy for like a while, and it's unbelievable how much he's just been underestimated, right? And Pico's reputation, honestly, as the next big thing, to me was kind of a little overblown, right? And I mean, he had moments of brilliance, sure, but I mean, when the competition honestly steps up and he gets exposed, Murphy didn't just win, he dominated. Okay, he dominated, and now he's the one making a statement in the octagon. So it made it really, really cool for me as kind of seeing Murphy, with that, almost like that Dillashaw style type of, footwork. He was in control of the cage, guys. I mean, that spinning elbow, honestly, was peak Murphy. Sharp, precise, clean, utterly brutal, devastating, right? And it was a huge win for him. Congratulations. He's a legitimate fighter. And anyone doubting him, all the naysayers and everybody out there, they're going to have to eat their words, all right? Pico looked powerful at times, right? And I like him, but he ran into, unfortunately, a very, very prepared Murphy. And that is not what you want, right? I mean, Aaron actually said that he came out and he tweeted, he said, "Last night wasn't my night. That's the fight game. I'm grateful for my team, my family, and everyone who continues to support me. The supporters that have been there from day one and my new supporters, I see you. Thank you. Wins and losses both teach lessons, and I'll come back sharper, stronger, and better prepared. Thank you all who have sent messages and checked in my health as well. Thanks for riding with me. My story is not over." These are words from Aaron Pico, and I truly, truly feel that this guy will be back. He is aggressive. He is very focused. He needs to change. Definitely, he needs to make some changes in his fighting style, his ability. He comes out really fast, but he's unable to maintain that momentum, and this is what I think. If he changes a few of these things in his style, and maybe not go so fast right out of the gates and explosive as he does, maybe he needs to kind of feel out the other fighter a little bit, trade shots, and then start to kind of work on his game plan. And unfortunately for him, it wasn't his night. And guys, then we talk about the main event of the evening. This fight, it couldn't have been scripted any better. You had Du Plessis versus Khamzat. Look, both of these fighters, when you look at them, they're just so amazingly gifted, so amazingly talented. They're proven warriors, and you have the unstoppable force in Khamzat, who was undefeated, and then you've got the two-time defending, reigning middleweight champion of the world, Du Plessis, and you had two bulls just basically locking horns in incredibly impressive performance, no doubt about it. From start to finish, it was absolutely incredible. But from start to finish, Du Plessis couldn't really get anything going. The first 3 rounds were completely dominated by Khamzat on the ground. He wasn't doing heavy damage with the strikes, but he really controlled the fight the way he wanted it to. He dictated the pace. He won in a decisive manner. And at the end of the day, that's what I think he really wanted to do, although he says he didn't have a game plan. But, I mean, you give those first 3 rounds 10-8 in favor of Khamzat. All he has to do is just go for the finish now in the next 2 rounds, and he did just that. Rounds 4 and 5 are somewhat a little bit closer. Du Plessis definitely had some moments while he was on his feet. But he wasn't able to deliver, right? And it wasn't enough. The takedown defense was a major issue for him. He's going to have to work on that. Honestly, look, I think he's going to have to do a little bit of grappling training. He's a very clever fighter. He's got some weapons in his arsenal for sure, but he wasn't able to unload a lot of those weapons because Khamzat wouldn't let him. He really stonewalled him, and to the point where du Plessis only had a couple choices of moves that he could potentially do, and that too wasn't good enough, right? Anyways, he definitely has to come back with a little bit of a different strategy. And I mean, Dricus is going to be here for quite some time. He's an unbelievably seasoned fighter. He's pound for pound one of the greatest in a middleweight division, and it's going to be really interesting to see how this division starts to heat up and what exactly is going to happen, right? And I mean, with Khamzat's wrestling obliteration and his dominance, it was purely exceptional. Look. Some people are going to say it was somewhat boring and stuff because they want to see these guys on their feet. They want to see them striking. They want to see knockouts. But, a lot of people fail to understand that MMA, especially UFC, is not all about just the knockouts. It's about strategy. It's about how to properly fight. And these guys are proper fighters, all right? And so it's a championship fight. Why is a guy going to come out there and completely risk everything only to get knocked out in a 5-minute championship fight? Obviously, neither fighter is going to want to do that. They're going to play it cool. They're going to play it calm. And they're going to be very, very meticulous in the way they deliver. And that's exactly what these guys came to do. And that's what exactly they delivered, right? I mean, look, Khamzat was able to control du Plessis. A lot of knees to the thighs, side control, crucifix positions, and meanwhile was able to do that without allowing du Plessis to use any of his striking capabilities or to even really do anything for that matter. So, look, that said, this was amazing. I mean, compared to somebody like, Hernandez, who mixes striking and grappling very, very effectively, that's exciting MMA. This was exciting. For me, it was exciting, not as exciting as, watching two guys on their feet most of the time, but this is also a different style, a different kind of a way for these fighters to fight. And, kudos to Khamzat for being able to maintain control in almost all those rounds. Yeah, it was definitely frustrating for du Plessis and his camp because they didn't really have an answer. And it is what it is, right? A few reversals here and there, was able to get up. He landed a couple good clean shots, but Khamzat always had an answer or a counter for every time du Plessis even managed to squeeze out a shot or two. Anyways, in the meantime, Khamzat is the king of the middleweight division, and he's an elite, dominant fighter. Is extremely hard to beat. Look, I think I'm excited now to see when his next fight is. He's already talking about, hey, I'm ready for the next UFC fight. I can be ready. I'll be ready in October. Wow. Definitely a lot of confidence from this young man, so it's going to be exciting to see what happens. Guys, that was a full recap. I'm tired. I think I'm losing my voice, but I hope you guys enjoyed it. If this is your first time, please smash the like and subscribe. And, if there's anything that you guys would like me to cover, please, let me know in the comments. And I look forward to catching you guys on the next one. I hope you guys have a great rest of the day. Thank you.